And I know we have a number of guests today with us as well as members. So again, thanks to everybody who is joining us via Zoom today. We've got a great program, and we're going to kick it off with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now Janet Metzlar is going to lead us in our invocation and four-way test.
Thank you. It's so strange to be at the Hilton with hardly anyone in the building. But I hope you're all well at home, and join with me in the invocation. Let our hearts be still. May kindness, patience, and generosity bind us together as we grieve so many losses, celebrate so many joys, and resolve to carry on. As we gather together from a distance, may we honor the work of our club and our members. We celebrate our responsiveness, energy, and creativity in finding important ways to serve. We do our best, persevering with genuine goodwill and caring, knowing that even small acts of kindness matter. Finally, let us be humble, for we are made of earth. Let us be noble, for we are made of stars. In the spirit of peace and brotherhood, we say together, Amen. And now let us recite together the four-way test that guide over 1 million Rotarians around the world. Before we act, we ask ourselves, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. And I'd say seats, but I think most people are already sitting. So we're going to have some announcements. We have a few announcements this week, and we're going to start with birthdays. On January 27th, Tim Marcagi. January 28th, today, Paul Carilla. And February 1st, Dan Scroggins. So let's wish them a happy birthday. And just a few announcements. Hands-on service project for the month of February is a blood drive. You can enroll at any of the 7 Hawksworth blood centers. They're conveniently located all around the greater Cincinnati area. Really easy to do, so just pick any day, call ahead, and take a picture of yourself. Take a selfie and send it to the Rotary office. Let them know that you're donating on behalf of the Rotary Club of Cincinnati. And just a reminder, we're in the middle of a great series called Sustainable City Seminars. Ariel Miller has put that together for the club, and this Tuesday, February 2nd at 7:30 p.m. is the last of the 5 seminars, and it's going to be led by our very own Club 17 member, Sam Schutte. Sam has an exciting story to tell. He is in the midst with his company of doing anaerobic digestion facilities. The name of his company is Synthica Energy, and it's developing renewable natural gas from diverted organic waste. Synthica's plants will have the capability to divert 190,000 tons per year of organic waste from local landfills and wastewater treatment plants. That seems like a lot to me. So taking something that is thrown away and getting energy from it is a great idea. Please join us February 2nd on Zoom at 7:30 p.m. and we'll hear from Sam. If you want to be part of that, just email the Rotary office and register. And we're looking forward to a really good membership appreciation event. We had to postpone that, and we've postponed it to February 11th, Thursday evening from 6 to 7 o'clock. It'll be a chance for us as a club to show appreciation to our members. You can bring family members as well. We've got the Fountain Square skating rink all to ourselves, just for our club, and we can have up to 80 people. So if you're interested, please sign up with the office by February 5th. It should be a fun event. And you've probably seen that we've got a professional development series going this year. The first seminar workshop was on January 14th. The next one is going to be February 11th from 10:15 to 11:30 a.m., right before our weekly Rotary meeting. And the leader is going to be our very own Doug Bolton. The topic is COVID and its impact on commercial real estate in Greater Cincinnati. A very timely topic, a very interesting topic. So if you'd like to be part of that seminar on February 11th, again, just call the Rotary office or email the office. And we all know and we're all excited about the annual Jefferson Awards. That award presentation will be at a Rotary lunch on March 25th. If you would like to nominate an organization for that award, please remember that the deadline for that is February 12th. Go to E-Raise. There's a link. It's easy to do to nominate. And if you have any questions at all, please get to one of the co-chairs, either Bill Shula or Doug Adams. So just a quick word. Next week's meeting, we've got a great speaker, Peter Bronson, former reporter, editor, and columnist for the Cincinnati Enquirer. He's also a local historian and an author, and he's got a great story to tell us about Cincinnati. So stay tuned and please join us next Thursday for that. Really looking forward to it. And now we're going to move to our agenda for the day, which is our club assembly. And we're going to kick things off actually with a video. So lean back, enjoy this video of the great service projects that we've done the past 6 months as a club. That's a great video showing many of the activities our club has done the past 6 months. It's really been an incredible time, very productive in terms of our community service. I want to give a special shout out to the chair of our Hands-On Service Committee, Bill Stilley. He's really led us well, and we really appreciate it, Bill. And now we're going to take a few minutes just to go over the top line of our strategic plan. And as club members know, we had kicked off a really in-depth member satisfaction survey in September 2019 when Dave Carlin was president, and that led to an enormous amount of data. Long story short, from that data, from many conversations, developed a strategic plan, and it's a multi-year plan. Part of it started at the end of Dave's year We're going through it in a good way this year. Melinda Kelly, as president-elect, when she steps into the president role July 1, will carry it on. And Steve King, who's a current president nominee, as he steps into the presidency, he probably will also still have pieces of that plan to carry on. So it's a multi-year plan, and if you remember, it's 3 pillars in the plan: people, projects, and publicity. We call it the 3 Ps, and I want you to know we had a PPP plan way before the federal government did. We were ahead of them. So this has been a great plan and a great strategy. And people, we look at that as being in several different categories. Think of this as our own members. We look at how do we include members. We do that in many, many different ways, so I'm just listing a few. Family-friendly projects and activities. We've had several already this Rotary year. Fifth Thursday meetings. We had a great one in October at Brain Brew in Newtown. And things like this club assembly, which is a great way to get information out to club members and include them. Engagement. We do many things, including new member project. We also this year have done some improvements to the new member advisor program. We communicated well and still do that with our club with an annual report that went out in the fall showing the work that was done last Rotary year, the great work, and things like the professional development series and the sustainable city series. And then retention. Board members and our engagement committee has made a number of phone calls to members this year during this COVID time just to check in on members. How are they doing? Is there anything that we need to know that we can help them with? And are there things they'd like to know about the club? And the other aspect of people is reaching out to people who have an interest in Rotary or could be very interested in the things that we do. And as we do that, we emphasize the why of Rotary, that we are working to improve the lives of those in need, and we're improving our own lives as we do. We're adding new members this year. We have a social media presence. We're leveraging that, and we're actually doing more, enhancing that presence. We are working on increasing corporate memberships, and we have an industry speaker series that's being planned, more to follow on that in the coming few weeks. Projects, the next pillar, we had hands-on service projects. You saw the video. We've had 14 projects in the last 6 months, very active. It's included a number of school-based projects, helping Norwood and Condon School in particular. It's had blood drive. It's had PPE programs helping students with backpacks. We did a huge Camp Allen work day. Too many things to list here, but 14 projects. It's been a very active 6 months. And today you're going to hear a little bit more from Owen Wrassman about the Signature Project, a major project that's a multi-year planning on that. You're going to hear about the International Project from President of the Foundation, Carl Kappes. I'm going to talk a little bit about an environmental project, and just to mention also that this year we are tracking project service hours. And the last pillar is publicity, or you can read that as communications. We have internal communications, the newsletter I send out called Opportunities. We do member profiles and stories on our Facebook page, and we're adding Rotary moments as well, things about the history of Rotary International or club or foundation. Externally, it's been a really active 6 months. We've had 6 types of news articles so far this Rotary year on our club and foundation. We've gotten more visibility downtown with the Fountain Square bumper cars that we're sponsoring due to an anonymous gift by a very generous member. And we are posting the awards that our members get in the community. And one thing that we want to do more of, COVID has delayed it, is more publicity of corporate membership and youth services. And those things will get going in the right time. So it's been very active for publicity as well. And now I'd like to turn things over to President-elect Melinda Kelly, who's going to run us through the member survey that was done in October 2020.
Thank you, President Brett. It's my pleasure to share with you some of the highlights of our October survey. As President Brett mentioned, this was an actual short touch point survey following up from the major membership survey that was done in 2019. The 2020 survey was a touch point survey. Actually, a lot of the questions were related to a period in time, referencing the issues that we've concerned and making sure that we're doing the very best that we can, and also hearing from our members, listening and making sure that we include the comments as we plan to move forward. One of the first questions in the survey related to how do you feel Club 17 is handling meetings and events during this pandemic time? You can see from the slide, 73% said above average, 22% average, and 5% below average. So if you added the above average plus average, that was 95% that directly correlated with the previous survey in 2019. If you add the 22% to the 5%, that's 27%. So there's always room for improvement. But overall, with the average and above average, that is 95% from the member survey. One of the other questions was, what do you value most about Club 17's membership? The number one response was community service. As President Brett mentioned earlier, the Hands-On Service Committee has done at least 14 projects to this point. From those projects, too, it falls right into the second area of what is valued most from members is friendships, and some of those friendships come directly from those community service and hands-on service projects. The third area that was valued most was speakers. This next slide shows the member of the program committee. The program committee is responsible for selecting our speakers for each month and each week. And if you have any recommendations of a speaker for our club, feel free to contact the Rotary office. President Brett, the chairperson of the program committee is Doug Bolton, any of the members on the committee, and the board, any member on the board of directors. One of the other questions was, in what type of activities do you prefer to participate? The top three responses that came into that question were all related to in-person meetings, in-person hands-on activities, in-person fellowship activities. Some of the other responses or choices related to virtual, and while we've understood that it's very important to have the Zoom meetings and our virtual presence, the preferred way for activities and to come together as a group was listed as in-person in all three of those areas. One of the final parts of the 8-count survey check-in was if any members wanted to be contacted to have an individual direct conversation with a board member. And so every member who listed that they wanted to speak with a board member regarding any comments that they they've all been contacted. Some additional comments that were listed on the survey, a number of them related to COVID, safety, masks, in-person meetings, and as you know, we are still on Zoom meetings as a result. President Brett listed some of the modifications and changes that were related to comments that were listed. Another one was more versus less communication. We've increased communication to members through internal and social media, also with the personal one-on-one calls that we've made to all members. Additional virtual meetup groups, we're in the process of exploring those opportunities as well. Some increased connections will be coming up, and you will hear about those in the future, and some maybe even later on today in the club assembly. Thanking President Brett and the board for continuing our meetings during this time. There are some clubs that are not actually meeting, and so some have shared their appreciation and thanks that we are able to meet. Increased publicity, President Brett has already addressed that, more coverage. Future professional development offerings, We have those, take a note of the comments made there, and they will be included in the future as well. And one of the major comments was, how can we help during this time? So we appreciate all that you've done. We appreciate your flexibility, and we appreciate your comments. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Melinda. That was a great update. And now we're going to get a membership update from our membership director, Deanne Fleming. Deanne?
Hello, happy 2021. I'm here to, as Brett said, give you the membership update. I would like to first thank everyone for continuing to promote Club 17 to your colleagues, business associates, and your friends. Despite not being able to meet in person, we have gained 11 new members since July. This gain of 11 members proves our membership campaign of the power of one is very effective. It's a result of the positive work of the Membership Development Committee and you, the members, and how you recruit members to this club. We need to continue promoting and recruiting because every year we lose an average about 12% of our members through normal attrition. At this point of this year, we have 300 members, a drop of 17 members since July. But I wanted to just say, as I was looking at our club numbers today, before my speech, I noticed a couple of very interesting facts about our membership, and one very impressive statistic. 35% of our members have 20 plus years of service to this club. 20% have 10 to 20 years of service. A quick addition of these numbers shows that over half of our membership has an impressive at least 10 years, but more than, almost 25 years, 20 years and above of service. There must be something good happening in this club for everyone to want to be part of it for over 20 years. Corporate memberships are holding steady at 19. Good news today. Melinda Kelly has facilitated a new corporate membership. And you need to stay tuned for more details, but if you are out there on Zoom, we welcome you to Club 17. You know who you are. Upcoming events for our members. Member Appreciation Night is coming up on Thursday, February 11th. Brett had mentioned before, from 6 to 7 at Fountain Square. To show our appreciation for you as Rotarians, we will provide free drinks, free food, and an exclusive member-only use of bumper cars in the ice rink during this time. The warming tent is available, and social distancing measures will be maintained at all times. And something upcoming, the Big Pig Gig. I'm going to give you just a preview of what's going to come up. It's a contest which will be beginning in a few weeks. Stay tuned for more details, and keep an eye out for the Rotary Flying Pig. We'll be highlighting our members in a kind of a Where's Waldo type of contest. Look for the club, or look for the clues, and identify where this flying pig is. You never know. So just check it out and watch for it at our upcoming meetings. Again, I'd like to thank you for your continued support of Club 17 and all of your efforts to recruit new members. Thank you.
And now we're going to have our treasurer, Ken Saunders, actually do a video presentation to give us a budget update, a video presentation all the way from Florida. So I'll turn it over to Ken.
Hello, Club 17. I hope that all of you are doing well and being safe. I miss seeing everyone and can't wait until we can all get together in person as a big group. As the club's secretary-treasurer, I've been asked to review for you the financials for the 2019-2020 fiscal year for both the club and the foundation. If anyone would like a copy of these slides, please contact the Rotary office. And if there are any questions, please email me and I'll respond as soon as I can. I'm sorry that I'm not presenting in person to answer in real time. So let's begin with the club numbers. Fiscal year 2018 is shown in blue. Fiscal year 2019 is in red. And fiscal year 2020, the latest year, is shown in green. Our assets are down slightly compared to the past 2 years, as our cash held in our checking account decreased $81,000 and our investment value dropped $28,000 to $415,000. The checking account decrease is due to the billing for dues and lunches being done after July 1st, so that incoming cash was delayed. And the investment decrease is due to the market dropping the first half of the year due to the coronavirus. Overall, though, we're pretty solid. Moving to the next set of numbers, our outstanding liabilities decreased slightly, primarily due to less expected lunch costs due to the reduced number of in-person meetings and fewer attendees when we do have a live meeting. The last set of numbers, equity, is just the assets minus the liabilities. Moving on to the next slide, the club revenues have been basically flat over the past 3 years, with a slight decrease from last year due to a small drop in membership and therefore dues, with a corresponding drop in lunch income. The club's expenses increased this fiscal year to $425,000, although some expenses were down, such as the lunch expense by $43,000. The club incurred extraordinary expense of $72,000 in board-approved coronavirus support. As for the investment gains, even with the challenging market in the second quarter, our gains were only down slightly. Our total net revenue dropped a total of $50,000. Now, moving on to the foundation financials and talking about the numbers in the aggregate for all funds, our assets dropped slightly to $6,762,000, which was down 4% from the prior year. The cause of this was the challenging second quarter market, but was smoothed a bit by our 65% equity and 35% bond investment approach. As a side note, the foundation investments have rebounded to $7,377,000 at year-end December 2020. The foundation liabilities remain low, with the primary outstanding liability, the foundation annual payment to Camp Allen of $100,000. The total equity is then doing the math of assets minus liabilities. Turning to the next slide, the foundation revenues were down slightly. There was a nice increase in contributions, $63,000 more than last year, but this was marginalized by a decrease in capital gain dividends of $68,000. The next set of numbers shows another impact from the coronavirus. The board members of the foundation approved significantly more projects to help those in need. This raised our project expense to $433,000, which was $172,000 higher than the prior fiscal year. In addition, administrative expenses were up slightly. The investment gains for the foundation dropped in the 2020 challenging market to $4,000 for the fiscal year. This, combined with our increased expenses, as reviewed earlier, netted out a net income loss of $187,000 for the 2019-2020 fiscal year. I hope that this review has been helpful. If anyone would like a copy of the slides, please contact the office. And if there are any questions, don't hesitate to drop me an email. Thank you, Club 17.
Now we're going to go, we talked about hands-on service having so many projects in the past 6 months. One of those is a new project, a new program called the Fruit Bowl Program. And I'd like to have Pat Neal-Miller come and present that program to us now, if she would.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Pat Neal-Miller, and I am the committee lead for the Rotary Food Bowl Project. You may have read about our work in several of the Rotary articles, and today I am excited to share more details about this important program. The club became aware of an article last year featuring a very community-oriented retired medical doctor, Dr. Charles Dillard, who was using his own funds to bring fresh fruit and vegetables to several schools in the West End. Our hands-on service chair, Bill Stilley, reached out to Dr. Dillard to learn more about his food stability project and how a school might benefit from the Rotary's assistance. The Rotary learned that a part of the West End was a food desert and that the students and their families lacked the affordability and accessibility to purchase fresh fruit and vegetables. In fact, the closest store to that area was a dollar store where some families were purchasing their food. After several meetings, including discussions with school administration and the Rotary, we decided to mirror the work of Dr. Dillard, and with his introduction, we chose to support St. Joseph's Catholic School in the West End. Now, St. Joseph's School is located on Ezra Charles Drive, about 1 mile from Union Terminal. The school is led by Principal Ashley Toney and has approximately 170 students in grades K through 8. This school is 100% free and reduced lunch, which means that these children are in households with incomes at a certain percentage below the poverty level. To assist with food stability, the Rotary started the Fruit Bowl project in October of 2020, supplying 4 crates of fresh fruit and vegetables from Fry Brothers to St. Joseph's School once a week. At the beginning of January, we started doubling the amount to 8 crates of food. What the Rotary supplies to the school allows 2 to 3 grades of students to receive fresh fruit each week, and for about 30 to 40 students with the greatest needs to take fruit and vegetables home to their families. Our contribution does not cover all the school's needs, but we are committed to serve St. Joseph by supplying the valuable source of nutrition, which will provide for a healthier outcome for its families and students. Now, at this time, I would like to thank and acknowledge the following Rotarians who have volunteered their time so far for this project. But like anything else, we always are in need of additional volunteers to assist with picking up fruit and vegetables for St. Joseph's School. So here's where I'm going to go with my sales pitch. We deliver once a week, and it takes less than 1 hour to pick up and deliver. Now, due to COVID-19, the school handles all of the distribution. Now, if you're interested, please email me at patricianealmiller@gmail.com. Again, that's patricianealmiller@gmail.com to sign up. We usually deliver on Wednesdays. Finally, St. Joseph is also applying for a USD Farm to School grant, which will allow them to start an agricultural curriculum in their school and to start an urban garden. If successful, they have asked the Rotary for volunteers to work with their teachers to help with the program, both inside the classroom and in the garden. So stay tuned for more details. Thank you.
Great job, Pat, and that's a really exciting program with a lot of potential. So, as Pat said, stay tuned. And now we're going to switch gears, and we're going to talk about the environmental program that our club has. And just a reminder, in July of 2020, Rotary International Board approved a 7th focus area, which is supporting the environment. And when that happened, our club launched a task force on environmental sustainability. And their mission was to do some research on what would be a helpful area for our club to be involved in. They researched a number of possibilities and came up with 3 projects. One called Cincinnati Public Schools Outdoors, another a stormwater runoff control, and the last one a tree planting project. And actually, starting at the end of this meeting, you can vote on which you prefer our club to do this spring. So the first one, Cincinnati Public Schools Outdoors, basically is to help build nature areas so students can have daily interaction, and a lot of students don't have that opportunity in terms of where they live. It'll take either parts of the school grounds to build that or adjacent public properties. And the kind of work that our club could do would be to clear brush and make some trails or paths or walkways. Could also help build what's called a natural playscape area and help with drainage issues and other similar things. So good project. Anybody Any adults could help with it, and any families with children 6 or older could help. And our partner on that is Green Umbrella, if we decide to do that one. And they're a nonprofit based in Cincinnati that's engaged in a whole host of environmental sustainability areas. The next one in stormwater runoff is to prevent excess runoff, which is damaging a number of homes in the Cincinnati area, leading to pollution and sewer backup. The project would help plant shrubs and install piping to control damaging runoff from empty lots into lots that have homes. And this is good for the neighborhood in total. And the site would be somewhere in the Beekman corridor of Cincinnati, like Millvale, South Cumminsville, or that general area. Who could be involved? Adults and families with children age 11 and older. And our partner on that, if we choose it, is working in neighborhoods and skilled advisors that they have, including some engineers. So these will all have very tight and good project plans. The last one is tree planting. And it's basically to plant trees, which really does help have a cleaner and healthier environment. Trees are great at taking particulate matter and other harmful gases out of the atmosphere, help to reduce greenhouse gases, a wonderful opportunity. Volunteers in this project would plant trees and will learn from experts about their nurture and benefits as they do. And the site will be somewhere in the greater Cincinnati area to be determined. And our partner, who could do it? Adults and families with children age 6 and older. And our partner on that would be Ohio Valley Forestry Fellowship with skilled forestry project leaders. So those are the projects. Pick one. And you'll get today via email a link to a SurveyMonkey survey. Pick the one you'd like to see our club start with. That doesn't mean that we might not do some of them at a later date. And also, if we have to adjust because of COVID, what we do when, of course, we always make adjustments. So I want to give a word of thanks to the task force, co-chaired by Deborah Schultz and Jody DeVoyd, members Ariel Miller, Melinda Kelly, Brian Miller, Sam Schutte, and myself. A lot of fun working together. So take your opportunity to vote. Thank you. And now I'm going to introduce our next topic, which is our signature project, or think of that as a major project. Owen Wrassman is going to give us an update on that.
Thank you, President Brett. We've heard a lot of good projects, current projects that will be coming up, and things we've done in the past. I think they put me later on in the program because this is kind of a 10,000-foot major project that we've been thinking about for a long time, our signature project. There we go. So in past strategic plans, as mentioned earlier, it's really come out that our members do want a signature project done. We've done a lot of them in the past. Susan Wilkinson and myself and Linda really over the last few years have tried to develop this particular project, which would be a signature project that we can do in the city. And this, again, came around this time again to happen about 18 months from now. So I know that's a little early to be telling you Rotarians about this because you're all last-minute people, but I want you to be able to remember this when it comes up again in a few months. You'll say, oh, I remember that. Hopefully I'm going to hit the right. There we go. And there's the steering committee, Susan Wilkinson and myself, and some very other famous Rotarians. And the name of it currently is Cincy Do Days. And this is going to be in the fall of '22. And what we're looking to do is trying to take the nonprofits in Cincinnati with many needs. We've got corporate sponsors, individuals, and Rotary members trying to put them together just as Bill Stilley does on a weekly basis. But this is going to be a major project on a particular day. And what this will do is provide marketing for us, it'll provide action for us, it'll provide everyone in our club to participate at some level. It can be hands-on in a project because we're going to do one a Rotary-sponsored project, but they also can be part of logistics or a team leader, provide names of other corporate or individual nonprofits. The way this is going to be done is we're partnering with Doug Bolton's Cincinnati Cares. And when we looked at this a few years ago, the biggest challenge was, again, logistics. We couldn't really throw this on our office of 3 to take on a project like this big, as well as taking care of all the other Rotary needs. And what his group is already up and running and representing over 700 individual nonprofits. He also has a sign-up mode where individuals and corporations sign up to volunteer. So we've got the projects and we have the volunteers. It'll be our signature project. We will run it, we will conduct it. We will also have our own program in there. And we're really looking forward to starting off on a scaled basis and try to do this every year or every couple of years. It's something that can be known as Cincy Do Day in Cincinnati. It'll be known around the city. It'll be announced on TV and radio, and hopefully we can get some leverage with our partners, other partners in Cincinnati, and get our name out there, which is one of the main things we want to do. So what are the next steps? And there we're planning for an October 2022, not this fall, next fall, 18, 20 months from now. We will create a marketing plan for the launch. Cincinnati Cares the important thing is develop a software for Cincinnati Do Days so that it can be a very easy portal to volunteer and to coordinate where you're supposed to be, when you're supposed to be. And the steering committee is meeting. We will be meeting in the spring again and develop this more. If you have questions or any more comments, please contact Susan Wilkinson or myself or anybody else on the committee. Thanks for your attention.
Thanks, Owen. It's great. Looking forward to that. And now we're going to get a report on the Large Club Conference. And we've got a video on that. Then Linda's going to lead us.
Come meet in Cincinnati, where North meets South, historic meets contemporary, and reinvention reigns. Cincinnati is centrally located, and our international airport is just minutes away, so it's easy to get here. Our compact downtown area and public transportation make it easy to get around. We have world-class hotels ready to host you and unique meeting spaces for any type of event. Experience it for yourself. A city alive and thriving, where beer meets bourbon, city meets space, culture meets competition, and dreaming meets doing. We can't wait to meet you.
So that gives you just a bit of taste of what we're promoting for the Large Club Conference. To give you an idea, that will be in Cincinnati for the first time since 1960. And what this Large Club Conference is it brings in executive directors and the president-elects from all the large clubs across the United States and Canada into one location, so they gather. And basically it's a part fellowship, but it's also communication from the standpoint of just gathering together to get to know each other and form friendships. So save the dates, and the reason I'm asking you to save the dates is because we're going to need a lot of volunteers to pull this off. You'll see in a moment some of the areas that we will need to get volunteers from our club to help work through, but these are the dates. Also wanted to share, as part of the large club conference, we will have a joint meeting with all of the president-elects as well as the executive directors on our Thursday meeting of that week on the 14th. So save the date for that one. They are funding our keynote speaker that day, Commander Kurt Leopold, and he was actually the commander of the USS Cole, and apparently, from all I've seen, he is going to be a fabulous speaker, so you're not going to want to miss that date. So back to the volunteer part where you get to shine. We're going to need airport greeters, van drivers, hotel greeters, hospitality fair. We're going to have a happy hour every night. Breakout sessions. We're going to need people who are willing to take notes during those sessions so that we can share those with all of those attendees at some other point. The breakout sessions will be, we'll have people in the lobbies to guide folks around. It'll be headquartered here at the Hilton, but we definitely are going to need all hands on deck for this. And again, it's the first time it's been here since 1960, and our goal is to really show off the Queen City and make sure we show them how to put on a first-class event and make sure everybody gets to where they need to go when they need to get there.
Great job, Linda. That's a huge undertaking and a great privilege for our club to be able to host. And now we're going to get a foundation report from the president of the foundation, Carl Kappes.
Thanks, President Brett. Wanted to give you some foundation updates. The first, Camp Allen. Camp Allen is alive and kicking. While camperships were running about 50% due to COVID, the respite weekends were still going strong. Respite weekends, as you know, are parents and families get a respite from the stresses of loving and caring for special needs children. Issues related to COVID have upped that stress, as you can imagine. So those weekends are very, very key. Another a project that's going on at Camp Allen is a paving project with half of the funds coming from our foundation, and it's in the final stages of securing a contract. The driveway, parking area, and paths around the camp are slated for repaving this spring. The construction of changing rooms, showers, and restrooms at the pool is nearing completion. Before, if a child had to go to the bathroom, they'd have to be taken to another building, and sometimes by the time they got back, their swim time was over. This allows them to have restrooms, changing rooms, and showers right next to the pool. This project also includes a covered area for campers who don't want to be in the pool and want or need to be out of the sun also. And also, after some initial concrete hiccups, the work at the miniature golf course, the accessible miniature golf course, is nearing completion. That restroom and changing room project is a project that Stepping Stones is paying for through their resources and grants that they've gotten outside of our foundation. And registration for Camp Allen is open for 2021. Capacity is expected to be about 50% still because of COVID. But your support and the support provided by Stepping Stones and other grants makes all these projects a reality. And now our international service project that you know about it's supported through donations that are received by our foundation as well as from others. It's a World Affairs Committee international service project that was featured in the Rotarian magazine this summer as a model environmental sustainability project. Prior to the installation of these solar panels, access to power was expensive, dirty, and inconsistent if they even had power at all. Frequent blackouts interrupt learning. Healthcare centers are unable to keep refrigerated vaccines and medicines on hand, and students without power being able to study easily after the sun goes down. Our foundation, through your donations as well as District 6670 grant and Rotary International grant, and donations from other Rotary clubs, in 5 years has helped fund 33 panel installations on the way to their original goal of 50 that they wanted to have completed by the end of 2020. The fall fundraiser Because of that fall fundraiser that we had, at least 5 more schools are to receive solar panels. And from what I understand, it's prompted Nathan Thomas and the Solarize Uganda Now team to move up that 50-school goal to the end of this year. The fundraiser in the fall raised approximately $24,625, and it was raised from 31 different donors. The allocations and committee and the allocation grants is another way your Foundation of Cincinnati is helping others. From the first round of grant applications this fall, the committee recommended and the Board of Trustees of the Foundation voted to fund 4 projects. And I'm going to talk about these fairly quickly, but just want to let you know, one is the Inter Alliance of Greater Cincinnati. They received a $5,000 grant, and it's for increasing their Tech Olympics accessibility event, and it's Greater Cincinnati region's premier technology competition, and exposition. And it provides high school students the ability to compete, network, and learn about IT industry through this event. This grant allowed 50 teacher-selected, under-resourced students to attend and participate in the conference. And also the Preston Brown Foundation received a $5,000 grant for their award-winning Forward Youth Mental Health First Aid Training managed by the National Council of Behavioral Health. The program provides free of cost to the virtual mental health first aid training and certification to about 250 teachers, coaches, social workers, and parents serving the education community in Hamilton County's underserved school districts. They learn the skills necessary to identify, understand, and respond appropriately to youth with signs of mental illness and substance abuse disorders, and help in reducing suicide rates among teens. The result of the training through this grant is anticipated to help about 5,000 youth with disabilities. Also, the Music Resource Center for Cincinnati Mentoring Teens received a $5,000 grant. It's a multifaceted nonprofit that provides after-school music and mentoring where students in grades 7 through 12 choose to take music lessons and create and record their band's songs in the professional multi-track recording. Help with homework in a safe environment, ability to talk and work through school and life challenges with a community care coordinator is also provided. These mentored students come from Evanston, Avondale, and surrounding neighborhoods. And the Northern Kentucky Children's Law Center Holistic Legal Representation and Advocacy Program. That's a mouthful, but the Greater Cincinnati youth are referred to this group by parents, schools, courts, juvenile justice workers, and others. The majority of youth served are at risk because of their disability, childhood mistreatment and trauma, and equitable treatment based on their age, race, and sex. This type of holistic approach to representation seeks to achieve not only fair representation, but fair and just outcomes. The next allocation committee grant submissions deadline is February 12th. So if you know any nonprofits that could benefit from a grant from the Rotary Foundation, have them go to our website, www.cincinnatiRotary.org/grants, or they can just look on the site and they'll see grants and click it, and that's when that'll happen. Last thing is Believe to Achieve. Quick note, save the date. Believe to Achieve 2021 will be August 7th. It will be at the Brain Brew Distillery, and it'll be benefiting 3 local nonprofits. A lot more details to come, but save the date, August 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, President Carl. And we have one last agenda item today, and it's on leadership in the nomination process. And just as a heads up or kind of reminder, there are 5 avenues of service in Rotary. One is club service, vocational service, community service, international service, and youth service. Any of those are areas where Rotarians can contribute and grow as they do. And there are many opportunities in our club to serve, lead, and grow. We've got about 40 committees doing various types of those 5 avenues of service work. You can go in a tool called Sign Up Genius. You'll be getting a link in the month of February in our weekly e-raise. That same link was sent out last fall several times. Look at our committees. Look at the descriptions. If you're not engaged, sign up for one. If you're just curious the other work going on in the club, you'll get a pretty good sense looking at the names of the committees. My advice to all of us is get engaged. And if you're interested in opportunities to lead in our club, you can always talk to any of the board members and ask questions. And I want to give a special shout out to our Rotarian fellow member, Barbara Dickerson, who developed a really great tool in our website so that each of our committees now has a place that they can keep their documents and they can exchange emails among each other, and those are kept on file. That also helps in the transition from one Rotary year to the next. So thank you, Barbara, for that work. That was good club service. And now just a quick word, and you'll be getting more in writing on the nomination process for club officers and board directors. By the end of February, you'll see a number of communications. Today is just the first one here at this club assembly. But we'll be explaining to members how the election and nomination process works. By the end of March, our president nominee, Steve King, will communicate who are the 3 members of a nominating committee per bylaws. He will also communicate that there are 4 at-large positions that anybody not on the board can fill on the nominating committee, and he'll be looking for volunteers. So you'll see more on that. And then by May 1st, if anybody would like to be on the nominating committee to nominate officers and board directors, that's the deadline. So make sure Steve King knows. And then in May, Steve will be telling the board who are the 4 at-large members that he has recommended. The board will vote on that. Then in June, Steve will be communicating that to the club, who are all 7 members of the nominating committee. There's a July 3rd deadline. If you'd like to be nominated as either an officer or board member, you can nominate yourself. There's a form that we're going to make available to everyone in the club, or you can nominate somebody else. And the deadline for that, as I said, is July 3rd. And then by the end of July, I'll be chairing the nominating committee, and it will meet 1 or more times in July to come up with a slate of candidates. That slate of candidates is then presented to the board, and at their August meeting, if the board members would like to add any additional candidates to that, they can. In September, the board will vote on the officers and directors to fill open positions, and these are all for positions that start July 1, 2022. And in October, all club members will get a communication about who are the slate of candidates and a little bit of background. And then at our end of October annual club meeting, the members will vote to ratify. So that's an overview of the process. You don't need to take notes today. You'll be getting plenty of materials over the next few weeks. So I'm really proud to say that we've got a process that I think that works very well. And I also, as I'm thanking people, I want to thank everybody who presented today at this club assembly. Great work. Great presentations, great update on what our club is doing and where we're heading. I also want to thank everybody who joined by Zoom today. If they could consider joining again. It's great to have members of our club join by Zoom. It's great to have guests join by Zoom. And as we look at next week, just a reminder, we've got a great speaker, Peter Bronson. Please join us next Thursday for that. And in the meantime, have a great weekend. Meeting adjourned.